What are field operations? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what it means when somebody says field operations and some of the key components that we should be focusing on so you have a really nice perspective. I'm assuming that if you're asking what are field operations, that you've heard it being talked about, and you might be in a position where, I don't know, maybe you want to be a part of field operations. So if you're into that, please stay with us. Okay, so this is great. I used to be a field operations director, actually. Very, very cool. So when I think of field operations in the overall company perspective, I like to look at it like, okay, you've got your CEO, your COO, you've got your director or vice president of marketing and sales, you've got legal, you've got HR, and you've got your product. You've got a director of operations. Hopefully your director of operations is either office and field focused, or you also have a field operations director or a field operations manager there as well, so that you're taking care of the PMs and the project directors, and you're taking care of the supers and the general superintendents, okay? And so field operations is really your product. And there's some functional groups or departments that typically end up in field operations. You'll have your general superintendent group, your field operations group, your self-perform. You'll have survey, quality, your scheduling department are a part of field operations, because all of this stuff enables your work in the field. Now, when we talk about field operations, like really, it's everybody out in the trailer that are helping to do first planner work and then working with last planners to execute through a meeting system certain levels of planning so that we can allocate resources and execute well with good safety, quality, and cost control. So field operations is everything operationally required to execute well for our product, which in this case is the field. And so there are some different components here. So when we talk about field operations, we shouldn't really be separating field and office. They should be working together. But field operations and office operations are two different things, and so understanding and labeling them is pretty neat. So everything in corporate is there to enable the company to function. And every office or project management system that we have is there to enable field operations with the right people, the right plan, the right resources, and the right environment to do their work. So project managers and project engineers are feeding the system, right, with contracts, with contractors, with the money, like I said, material resources and information that they need to do their work. So we're feeding field operations. So field operations is really the receipt of those resources and the collaboration of key people on site, namely the foreman or the last planners, and being able to take that work and schedule it on a rhythm with, like I said, survey, scheduling, quality department, and your self-perform crews, and pulling that all together to actually put work in place in the field. And so if you're like, hey, there's field and office operations, we're not separating those teams. We're all one collaborative team, but the office team feeds the system and the field team uses and implements and installs the components of the system. And so they build the project. So it's really neat. So let me go through a couple of things that you'll want to consider one by one. Number one, field operations is the execution of work on site. And so what we really need, and it's really neat to actually look at it like this, we need foremen and workers inside of a crew being able to install work daily for their work package in a zone with everything they need. They need the tools, the materials, the equipment, the time, the information, the permissions, the layout, all of that. So when we talk about executing work in the field, it's nice to look at it like that, because all of those things that I mentioned have got to be prepared ahead of time. And so field operations really is the execution and the installation of work on site. Number two, the management of labor, materials, and equipment. Here's what I mean by that. Field operations definitely deal with the onboarding of workers and taking care of them with the parking lot, smoking area, lunch area, restrooms, right? But the taking of people, onboarding them, and then every day, the foreman in the foreman huddle and the workers in the morning worker huddle every single day, the creation of a collaborative team to then go do the work and to make sure that that team knows the plan from the strategic level all the way to the full plan sequence, all the way to the production plan, to the look ahead, weekly work plan, and day plan, and that those people know what's expected, what they're doing for that day, and that logistics systems are working. Not only is procurement of materials working to get it to the project site, but that we can receive that, and that on the project site we coordinate material deliveries, and I hope you're paying attention, crane, forklift, and hoist operators get materials where they need to go when the crew needs it, through logistics systems that are operational. Those are main focuses of field operations so that we can execute the work that I talked about before. Number 3, the key here is that we have to do that in an organized way with beautiful and perfect cleanliness, and the way that we do that is a part of field operations. Safely, which is first, always, and our top priority and our top value, right? And that we are doing it in a quality manner, that literally we have planned the work, we build the work, and we finish the work according to expectations by the owner. Those systems, being able to keep a project clean, keep a project safe, keep a project in an organized manner, keep a project being installed with quality. Those are operational systems that are a part of field operations. Number 4, and this one's my favorite, is in the TAC planning system, or the TAC production system is what it's called. We are able to schedule work on a rhythm and a flow, and make sure that work is flowing throughout the building with the train of trades is a part of field operations. And so again, our books TAC Planning, Elevating Pre-Construction Planning, and TAC Steering and Control show how this is to be done. And that is definitely a field operations task or process or system that's done by the superintendents and the field directors. And so keeping everybody on rhythm inside those quality, safety, and organization and cleanliness systems is a main focus, because we do have to meet that schedule that we talked about. Number 5, decision making and problem solving. One of the biggest things that field operations will do with the people, the resources, and the logistical systems, and with their approaches, will be 100% to solve problems. The plan really isn't the main driver, right? I talked to you about TAC planning and the fact that that's a field operations task, keeping everybody in rhythm and flow. The plan isn't the most important part. The most important part is having the plan so that we can see and remove problems that could happen to that plan before they impact work. So field operations will not focus mostly on reacting. Field operations will focus on seeing through their schedule, TAC plan crystal ball, possible problems, removing those so that they can keep the flow of work going. Number 6, a big focus of field operations is to develop leaders. So the superintendents, the foremen, the leads, making sure that they have that training. And yes, we do extra training for them on project sites, and making sure that we're elevating their leadership. And lastly, what I want to talk about is field operations really connects to office operations and the rest of the corporate structure to make sure that we're a seamless team and that we're not separate. There's always been like this fight, and I found this in biographies for General Patton, Bradley, Eisenhower. This fighting between the field and office shouldn't happen in war, shouldn't happen in construction. And then there's the dilemma of command, which says, should leaders be in the home office or out in the front? And there's a balance there. And so field operations is really our ability to execute well in the field by working together as a collaborative team. And so that's what we mean when we talk about field operations. And do you want to be a part of it? If you want to be a part of the product, which is a key inside all of the other business systems, then definitely yes. It's so rewarding, and I would invite you to check it out. That's what we mean. It's not separate, it's not it's not elevated, it's a part of the system, but it does happen to be the end, because everything that we do in a company is to create flow efficiency to the foreman within, you guessed it, field operations. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to turn this into a blog post, and I really hope this has given you a good perspective. If you have other questions, please put them in the comments below. But otherwise, I'm glad you're here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.